Vladimir Putin will not stop until all of Ukraine is his. That from a top French official who briefed reporters today after President Macron and Putin spoke by phone. So what territory has Russia already seized, and what are they eyeing next? Clint Watts is tracking Russia's military movements for us. Clint served as a U.S. Army infantry officer. He's now a distinguished research fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute and an NBC News national security analyst. Clint, thanks so much. Let's first focus on Kyiv, if we could. What's your assessment of how the Russians are going to try to take the capital?
Shepard, what's really interesting about Kyiv is we've talked a lot and you've heard a lot about this convoy. This convoy is stacked up. Some people estimate up to 17 miles. It's incredible. It really is not what we would tend to think of. You know, as a West Point graduate, when I learned about Soviet invasion techniques, this is not it. Look at these vehicles. They're stacked bumper to bumper all the way down this highway, meaning they are not worried about air power coming in and knocking them out. Now, the Ukrainians did do some successful strikes against them today. More curious, though, is what are they going to do in Kyiv? When you look at this town, they are destroying it with fires at this point, using everything from rockets to artillery. They are trying to bring everything they have to bear. And this is part of what you're hearing about these negotiations about bringing civilians out. Vladimir Putin, he doesn't want to be charged with war crimes. So part of that technique is pull all the civilians out. Whoever doesn't leave is therefore a combatant. So what they're going to do is essentially go and lay siege. They're coming in on this highway complex here. They have an airfield there. You might remember early last week, they tried to seize that airfield in a quick strike to take out the administration. It didn't work. So now you're going to see them move in forces along that direction. Here from Chernihiv, you're seeing them move in, trying to take population centers to the rear logistically, and I would imagine they'll advance troops from the south. You've heard a lot of success in the south on the Russian front. That's their better forces down in Crimea. That leaves only to the west and Poland. I would assume they would eventually try and cut these routes off as well.
Clint, let's focus on the south if we could. Mariupol is under siege. Kherson reportedly close to falling. In fact, the Ukrainians said yesterday it had fallen. It looks like Putin's about to own that entire Black Sea coast.
It's a dual-pronged attack, Shepard. That's exactly right. First thing, when they broke out of Crimea, they tried to create a land bridge here to connect with their forces in Donbass. These are the rebel forces that they've already been working with. They essentially control the area. And tonight in Mariupol, what you're seeing is a complete siege of that city. Indirect fires, missile attacks, and surrounding of it. This is a forecast of what we might see in Kyiv if they can build up combat power. Separately, what you talked about, Kherson. Kherson is critical. It is the most southern bridge on the Dnieper River, right at the mouth of the Black Sea. If they can cross over that bridge here in Kherson, they then are on the western side of the Dnieper River. If they can do that, they can advance all the way to Moldova. When they do, they'll have secured the entire coastline into the Black Sea, cutting off supplies for Ukraine, essentially making it only land routes coming in from Poland. This also is something where we hear reports of Russian ships, landing craft. They could come into Odessa, essentially offload an entire, probably 10 to 20% of their combat power there and advance straight north to Kyiv.
Clint Watts, thank you. Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.